What up, what up, what up, what up, what up? It's AR the Guy. Welcome to Growing Pains, a show where we dispel the illusions of perfection and highlight the struggles and turn our obstacles into opportunity. Today is July 9th, 2018. We're reading out of the Daily Stoic 366 Meditations on Wisdom, Perseverance, and the Art of Living by Ryan Holiday and Stephen Hanselman. Today's passage is called The Philosopher King, and here's the quote that stood out to me. For I believe a good king is from the outset and by necessity a philosopher, and the philosopher is from the outset a kingly person. Then we drop down a couple of paragraphs and we get this quote from Plato as Ryan Holiday educates us with a little bit of modernism. Plato knew this when he imagined a utopia ruled by a philosopher king. Either philosophers should become kings, he said in the Republic, or those now called kings should truly and sufficiently undertake philosophy. My first thought as I read this was, I cannot believe the cycle that we as human beings have become trapped in. As technology continues to grow, if we do our history and we look back at the behaviors of the past, what we'll notice is that we've kind of just coasted along. Because when I look at today's positions of authority, either these cats aren't philosophers or they just don't give a shit about people. And that bothers me to my core because we have this interesting conversation going on in America, and this is the narrative that I have and how I observe it, which is we are having an argument and a conflict about holding a higher moral expectations for the entertainers today than we are the politicians, the law enforcers, and the people that are in a position of authority that maintain and overlook the structures that we're allowed to live our lives by. And a perfect example of this is there is a veteran prosecutor down in California by the name of Michael Selliam, who started a war on the only platform that you can do so in America to create a civil war, social media. And he said about Democratic U.S. Representative Maxine Waters, and I quote, being a loudmouth C-word. In the ghetto, you would think someone would have shot this bitch by now. Now, I don't know if it's just because Maxine Waters is not Republican, and I have a tendency to lean towards the more humanitarian principles that I see them exhibit, at least in their speech. I know that all of them are not following through on that behavior, and they deserve to be held responsible as all positions of authority do. I don't know if it's the fact that he said the word ghetto as if to imply that a educated black woman should have been shot in the ghetto. I don't know her background. Maybe she came from there. But even more so to be a prosecutor that is interested in condoning violence because you disagree with somebody and you're overseeing a culture of people that participates in that on a daily basis, and your words are eliciting the idea that why wouldn't you shoot her as I'm sending you to prison? So that just brings to question in my mind, is he actually interested in helping and reforming people, or is he getting something out of this? And the fact that I can go back and remember a couple weeks ago when Samantha Bee called Ivanka Trump a feckless C-word for her post about her newborn child, and the fact that she didn't feel that she was upholding her responsibilities to put an end to ICE and the children that were being detained in cages and ripped away from their parents. The fact that I saw more outrage from the Samantha Bee situation, and the fact that more conservative-minded people felt that she should get the same consequences as Roseanne. I can't really debate that with people because Roseanne got fired, Samantha Bee did not. If you have an issue with that, protest ABC. I don't give a shit. But the fact that these comedians seem to be, or entertainers seem to be catching more heat for not maintaining the moral principle structure that all human beings should be subject to, but you have politicians, judges, prosecutors, people in law enforcement and governing positions who are talking about sexual assault. You've got people who have a history of rape. You have all of these things going on, and there's always some excuse, so long as, I can't say always, many times there's at least somebody making an excuse for why their behavior is appropriate. And I, for the life of it, don't understand, if Roseanne and Samantha Bee deserve to be fired, why in the hell are we not trying to fire politicians? Why in the hell are we not trying to remove judges? Why on earth are we letting systems be so crooked morally that we're willing to sit there and just take it? But if we can raise our voices loud enough to bully an entertainer into having to apologize, whether they mean it or not, then it seems that we could take some of that and apply it to the areas that matter in a position of authority, and we can begin to break this cycle of people being either uneducated or uninterested in representing the human kindness and respect that should be across the board for all people, nations, and nationalities, colors, creeds, backgrounds. I don't give a shit. If you're a human being, you have a heart, and all the biological things that make you human, then it is to me in our best interest that we learn the behaviors and the habits of being kind and forgiving to one another, and not and kind of hop off the judge pedestal of, well, you did this first and you need to apologize. No, we need to change. And I believe that at the heart of a philosopher, we are answering questions that help us evolve and change in a way that the average person doesn't, because when we learn to love and respect ourselves, then we're able to open up and love and respect others, because that creates a community and a connection, because within inside of ourselves, we're connected and we're thinking about all the times that we've been human and how we've had to forgive ourselves. So we then extend that grace to other people. And I don't want you to think that because sometimes we discuss politics that I think the world is burning down, or there's one side that's more right and one side that's more wrong. Because when I look around, I am inspired and hopeful at this generation and what their intentions and what they're getting ready to do. I was very blessed and fortunate when I was at Two Brothers to have a coworker who's, I'm going to call G.A.W.D. For those of you who aren't nerdy enough to know who G.A.W.D is, go watch the Dark Knight trilogy, and I'm pretty sure you'll be able to pick him out of a lineup. He was the detective. But this coworker really inspired me, and because when I first talked to him, he told me he wanted to be a police officer. And I initially had a very common reaction for a minority, which was somewhat fear. And that fear was tempted to turn into some form of loathing. But before I let that fester, I asked him why he wanted to be a cop. And G.A.W.D told me he wanted to be a cop because when he was in college and he was being educated and learning on the public prison system and reviewing the history of what had happened during this country, he wanted to make a difference. So he was going to join the law enforcement so that he could change it from the inside and not, arrest people for minor infractions that then led to 5-year jail sentences. He wanted to be an advocate of restoring true justice and creating a system that's not interested in exploiting people's mistakes, but genuinely offering people the opportunity to change, give them a second opportunity, and hold the people who are truly doing devastating and evil acts responsible and put them in places where they can't hurt people anymore. And that really, not only was I super happy that I didn't jump to conclusions about it, but asked him first. But it also had a deep impact on my respect and admiration for him. And as he gets ready to join the law enforcement, I've got nothing but hope, because I really do believe that there's a generation of younger people who are stepping into positions of authority that are actually interested in doing the right and the good thing, and they will be active enough with their voices that they will put pressure on the system to change. So yeah, I think that while America certainly has some fires that are in the process of being putting out, and I know that'll take some patience and some time, I genuinely do believe that we are on the right path to make change. And sometimes you gotta struggle through the bullshit so you can enjoy the forest of built. In our journal today, the question was, am I on the philosopher's path? Am I on the philosopher's path? The philosopher. I had to say it 3 times just to make sure I could. Are you on the philosopher's path, or am I just winging it? So there's a quote in our journal a couple days ago that really stood out that said, the Stoics teach us that doing well is its own reward. To do the right thing and see someone helped by it is enough. And I agree. When I go to bed, I try and go to bed with an emotional canister that is filled with positive, kind deeds. And when I wake up, I feel like it's empty because I want to go do more kind things for people. And when I do, I feel fulfilled, and this interesting little tingling sensation in like my belly and my heart and my brain that says, hey, that was the right thing to do, and you made somebody else better, which made you better. Which leads me to one of my favorite actors who was giving a speech during his graduation. Denzel Washington said this: the most selfish thing you can do in this world is help someone else. Why is it selfish? Because the gratification, the goodness that comes to you, the good feeling, and the good feeling I get from helping others. Nothing is better than that. Not jewelry, not the big house I have, not the cars, but it's the joy. That's where the joy is. That's where the success is. Denzel Washington is one of just the most beautiful speakers, I have to say. And what that led me to is something that I've been developing for a few years, which is a good king, maybe a great king, should bow to his people, not the other way around. Because it must be his selfish intent to see his people rise higher, to supply them the ability to live, to grow, to expand, to explore, and to see the joy in their hearts and faces. That is what must make a great king happy. Because like Denzel said, you'll never see a U-Haul behind a hearse. And to that I would say no. But you will see the eyes of people, whether or not they are there out of obligation, regret, or to say goodbye to someone who touched their life with love, kindness, and respect. And that is what a funeral is, an assembly of reflection. And if you do live life right, then even after the funeral is over, the people you have affected will be inspired to carry on what you started. And that is legacy. We may not summit the stars or join the gods on Mount Olympus, but we can leave behind the best parts of us in people's heart. I have a tattoo of a crown on the back of my hand. When I first started listening to music, one of the reasons T.I. was such a massive influence on me was because he identified himself as a king, which was something that resonated with me, even if I didn't have the jewelry and the crown. But I developed this philosophy because I saw a lot of really selfish leaders and people in a place of authority exploiting and abusing the people that they had claimed they wanted to serve. And I made a commitment to myself that if I ever got into a place of influence where I had that opportunity, that I would not exploit it. So if you have to bury me with somebody at the end of my life, bury me with the entertainers, the comedians, the philosophers, and the people who used their influence and their gift to improve the lives of people around them, that made other people their goodwill and their fortune, and felt fulfilled being a positive light in somebody else's life. But it's not all about me. So as you know, here's your question. Are you on the philosopher's path, or are you just winging it? Let me know. Type a comment below. We have, again, had some very controversial topics. Let me know if you agree or you disagree. And then, maybe challenge me with some questions on your own. But of course, once you've typed in your comment and we've had a great conversation, please help me with these social media algorithms. Truth be told, I could give a shit less about them, but it does help me share this conversation with people. So if you like it, go ahead and give it a like. If you want to share this platform with the people in your life, please do. Let me know. I'll make them public so you can share it with people. And, I hope you enjoy my brand of bullshit the way I enjoy my brand of bullshit. But as you know, it's time for you to go, bro. You got to go be smart somewhere else. You got to get to being a philosopher or winging it or whatever you're doing. Because you got to go live life. It's by action that we live, not through words. So quit talking. Go, 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 go. I know. It's a tearful goodbye. I know.